So consumers are picking their spots where they spend their money nowadays in a time of increasing prices. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because that was one of the topics of the discussion by Pat from NIQ, who presented at our ECRM Center Store Sessions in Chicago. So Pat, what are consumers less likely to cut back on when it comes to saving money on their food spend, and what are they more likely to cut back on?
Yeah, so we asked a bunch of consumers, obviously given some of the economic constraints they're facing or anticipating in 2025, and a lot of consumers said that they're less likely to cut back on those staples, those items that they need for every day. You know, your cooking oils, especially with some of the trends with seed oils, things like that, breads, cereals, canned foods. That's all been very popular, and a lot of consumers are saying that would be something they're less likely to cut back on. On the other hand, what they're more likely to cut back on is more of those items that aren't part of that everyday consumption, like your confections, like your carbonated drinks, meal kits, even prepared foods are something that they would be more likely to cut back on. Alcohol, makeup and beauty supplies, things like that.
So those essentials they're going to keep.
Yeah.
They're going to keep buying, and basically from what it sounds like, it's all of those ingredients that go into a meal they're going to prepare at home.
Yeah.
So what the basics, what they actually need to make that lunch or breakfast or dinner, and then all the extraneous items, or alcohol or candy or what have you, they're going to cut back on that if they need to.
Right, and we're seeing a really big trend with an outperformance of ingredient type products. So ingredients are outperforming, especially with some of those younger consumers, which I think it could be a bit surprising. People are going out to eat less. They're going and keeping entertainment in home more, and there's been that shift to baking ingredients and seasonings and condiments are all thriving.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a perfect case study of that. I mean, I used to go out to eat all the time, and it's just too expensive, especially in New York. So I'm cooking most of my meals at home, and so that's all I'm getting is those main ingredients that I need.
Right.
Although I'm very dull when it comes to I have the same thing all the time. So what are some of the other saving strategies that consumers are employing?
So there's quite a few. I think one of the big ones that has been a multi-year trend, but it's especially prevalent now, is private label. I think there's a lot of private label options. Retailers are very focused on private label, and it's a core tenet to their strategy. Last year, this year especially, and so that's been a big one. I think another one is looking for those products that have a lower price per serving, so larger pack sizes, things like that. Just focusing on the essentials, kind of like we already mentioned, and even shifting the way that they're shopping into more discount stores potentially, things like that. But one of the themes here also is that those consumers aren't necessarily willing to sacrifice on quality. So making sure that they're shopping, finding where there's that value, and at the same time ensuring that they're getting their essentials and
so
their needs met.
The biggest bang for their buck, right? It's all about value. Now, you mentioned packaging. What kind of actions are they expecting brands to take in terms of pack sizes?
Yeah, we ask consumers, if pricing inflation keeps taking place, what would they prefer to see brands and retailers? I guess what type of offerings would they prefer that they make available into the marketplace? And one of the big ones, like you mentioned, was have larger sizes, lower cost per serving. I think that's been the overwhelming one. In fact, that's more of a focus for them, and they prefer to see that more than even changing discounting strategies or promotional strategies. And then making lower cost options too that could have smaller pack sizes. Could be another one. Again, not sacrificing value, but how can we manipulate that pack size to make it more affordable and allow that consumer to use their discretion to go after and be more picky, choiceful when making those purchases, especially with how easy it is now to go buy online or to go make those fill-in trips versus the larger bulk up trips that they're used to.
Gotcha. So whether big or small, they want to get value out of it. So that's something that's important for brands and retailers to keep in mind, is that impact of pack sizes on the perceived value.
For sure.
So awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.